And then tell everyone else.
He threw a bomb? Did he throw a bomb, bro?
And developing right now, a federal terrorism investigation underway. 2 men are in custody from our area accused of bringing and throwing homemade explosives during a protest. This was outside of the official residence of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Last night, the FBI executed search warrants in Bucks County connected to the terrorism investigation. Our Eva Anderson was there as federal agents surrounded a home tied to one of the men in custody.
This is the FBI. We have a warrant.
Our cameras were there when federal agents descended on a quiet Bucks County neighborhood Sunday evening. Dozens of law enforcement vehicles lining Tina Drive in Langhorne, outside the home of 18-year-old Amir Balat, seen here, one of the Pennsylvania men accused of throwing an explosive device near New York City's Gracie Mansion. But hours before this FBI operation, we went to Balat's home and briefly spoke with a woman who was inside.
We just want to give the family an opportunity to respond to what's being reported.
She confirmed Balat lives there, but declined to say more. Hours later,
All occupants come out through the front door with their hands up.
3 people exited the home with their hands raised after FBI ordered everyone out. Neighbors watched the whole thing.
You got to wonder what they knew about what happened in New York. Did they know anything?
This all began Saturday when protesters clashed outside the New York City mayor's residence. Balat, who CBS Philadelphia confirmed is a student at Neshaminy High School, was identified as the man fleeing after lighting and throwing an explosive device toward the crowd. It struck a barrier and never exploded. But investigators say he ran and got a second device from another Bucks County teen, Ibrahim Qayyumi, before lighting it and running. Authorities say both 19-year-old Qayyumi and Balat were taken into custody. Sunday, after leaving Balat's Langhorne home, we went to the Newtown home we believed to be connected to Qayyumi. There, FBI agents were also on the scene.
This morning, this angry toss of a homemade bomb during a weekend protest in New York City has 2 teens from Pennsylvania facing a terrorism charge.
This was not random violence. This was a planned attack motivated by extremist ideology and inspired by a violent foreign terrorist organization.
Police said the device 18-year-old Amir Balat hurled tested positive for TATP, an explosive used in terror attacks around the world. 19-year-old Ibrahim Qayyumi is then seen handing him a second device before Balat ignites it, sprints down the sidewalk, hops a police barricade, and is tackled while the thing is still smoking.
Make no mistake, what happened this weekend was incredibly dangerous.
An anti-Muslim protest by far-right provocateur Jake Lang was clashing with a counter-demonstration outside the residence of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani. There were no injuries, but federal prosecutors said both teens made statements referring to ISIS, and when an investigator asked one of them if he wanted to accomplish something like the Boston Marathon bombing, he replied, "No, even bigger. It was only 3 deaths." You can hear explosions in this video obtained by ABC station WPVI outside a storage facility in Pennsylvania. The controlled detonations followed a search connected to the 2 teens.
To all units, proceed to your post assignments. All units, proceed to your post assignments.
That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
Yeah, baby, it's episode 22 of Probable Cause on March 10th, 2026. Jeff Norman and the FBI whistleblower himself, Greg Dillon, with you, as we always are on Tuesday nights. It was Greg's idea, by the way, to add that little music at the end. I love that intro. It gets me pumped every time I hear it. Just one of many excellent contributions to this podcast that Greg has made. Another excellent contribution is that he booked tonight's guest for us, Grant Haber. And Grant is a national security and explosive detection expert. I'm looking at your resume here in front of me. It's very impressive. I assume it's accurate. I'm just kidding. So we're very fortunate to have you with us. This incident in New York is alarming because of what it might portend, and it's obviously tied in with the Iran war. And so we'd like to talk to you tonight about what happened in New York and the bigger picture as well. Thanks for joining us. How are you tonight, Grant?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Same here. Can you make that a little louder so they can hear you in California? No, just kidding. And Greg, how are you tonight?
I'm fine. Thank you, Jeff.
Excellent. So how worried should we be about what happened in New York? Do you see it in this larger context that I alluded to, or do you think it might just be a one-off?
I don't think we need to be worried. I think we need to be proactive. I think we need to learn from every instance, and we need to analyze where our shortcomings are and determine what we need to do to keep moving forward. How do we help law enforcement? How do we help first responders? How do we close the gaps that we know have been existent for decades? How do we get them the resources that they need without having to go through a 1 to 3 year grant process?
So the last thing you said refers to funding. Is it a training issue as well? I mean, you would hope that the FBI, and out of all police departments, the New York Police Department would know how to deal with these situations. Is that your assessment or no?
Law enforcement historically is a reactionary entity. They react to instances. We need to be more proactive. We need to enable law enforcement to be more proactive. Train law enforcement how to differentiate narcotics from homemade explosive precursors. Not explosives, but precursors. If we could train law enforcement on a national level to be able to differentiate drugs from explosive precursors, that in itself is going to make our country much safer.
Yeah, I would think so, because if somebody gets white powder or some such substance and they freak out, but it turns out it's nothing to worry about, it's laundry detergent or something, that was an unnecessary emergency, right?
Anytime there's an act or an instance or something that happens, law enforcement gets more calls, people become more aware of their surroundings, which is a positive thing. What we need to acknowledge is that the experts, the specialists, can't be everywhere all the time. So we need to get down to the lowest denominator of law enforcement and first responders and provide them training that they're not receiving and provide them tools that they're not obtaining so that they can become sensors. The more sensors we have deployed, the safer we become.
Well, today in New York, you might have heard there was a scare. Somebody, I guess, took literally the cautionary advice, if you see something, say something. And they temporarily evacuated a park on the Upper East Side of New York. And it turned out to be nothing harmful. I guess you wouldn't object to something like this, right?
Absolutely not. It's good to be aware of your surroundings. It's nice to know people, unfortunately, after events, are more aware of their surroundings. When you're in public, I always advocate, stay off your phone, pay attention to your surroundings, see something, say something. If you need to act, do it swiftly.
Grant, I have a question. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Go ahead.
The compound apparently that they used in the IED is it TATP? Is that correct?
I haven't engaged the NYPD or anyone to confirm. The information that's out there reference TATP.
Yeah.
It's made from peroxide.
Okay. So my question, I guess, would be, for them to acquire the components to make up an IED that was reported to contain TATP, would that be something that they could conventionally obtain, or is it more like household purchases that you could make, like at I don't know, Walmart or Home Depot or something like that? Is it something more exotic that you'd have to order from a chemical manufacturer, or is it something that's more organic?
The raw materials to make homemade explosives are readily available.
Okay.
So people can go online, they can identify various recipes. There's some that are more riskier than others.
All right. Well, Grant, you have a bad internet connection. So, all right. Let's just hope that that gets better. We didn't hear what you just said because your internet was
in and out,
glitching out. That's a technical term. Want to say that again?
Can you hear me now?
No. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. So you want to repeat what you said a minute ago?
So the raw materials to make homemade explosives are readily available. The recipes to make a wide range of explosives are online, and some are more volatile than others. What's important to understand is that to be proactive is the only right way to address this, because once a device is made and someone is deployed to and with the intent to use it, especially if it's attached to a suicide bomber, then the terrorist has a decisive advantage. They have a decisive lethality advantage. So our focus needs to be on training law enforcement and first responders and working with the Department of Justice to not only have more situational awareness to the precursors, but then have laws in place that are very stringent to the point where they can be leveraged to gather intelligence. And it's the intelligence and the situational awareness combined and the ability not just to prosecute, because if someone's willing to blow themselves up, I don't think they really care much about the laws, but the leverage to be able to engage people that could provide the intelligence to thwart an attack or to be able to interfere with the production of IEDs before they're mobilized with the intent to kill.
Yeah, these two guys not only, I don't know about caring whether they live or die, but they didn't even seem, assuming that these news reports are accurate, they don't even seem too concerned about minimizing the chance of getting a very long sentence, according to the police. And again, we don't know for sure, but if they had cameras going, we'll see it. They said without any questions, they started, confessing and saying what their motives are and so forth. So I don't know exactly what to make of that. Now, your company is called American Innovations, and I see that you sell a kit. It's probably a little hard to read that, but we'll just flash it on for a moment. Is that an example of how people can be proactive? What exactly is this kit?
This capability has been fielded in Iraq and Afghanistan and many other places. It's used by law enforcement domestically and internationally, and it's actually been fielded in 6 continents. What the kit is designed to do is identify explosive precursors. So nitrate, chlorate, and peroxide oxidizers are the homemade explosive precursors that are used in approximately 90% of terrorist bombs worldwide. So if law enforcement or first responders are able to safely analyze an unknown bulk material and determine there's precursors to explosives present, then they certainly need to halt running field drug detection. Because what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that the acids in the drug test kits can actually detonate certain volatile explosives.
Okay, one of our favorite viewers, Helen, is asking if you could clarify what you were saying about the laws. I guess you think they need to be changed somehow. They may need to be made stricter. Could you be a little bit more specific?
Explosive precursors in their raw form are legal. Once they're converted to explosives, they're then illegal. The problem we have is that law enforcement cannot differentiate narcotics from explosives or explosive precursors. So what may appear on the surface to be cocaine or methamphetamines or heroin could possibly be an explosive, which is the foundation to uncovering bomb maker networks.
So, but what does that have to do with how laws need to be changed?
I can only advocate. I've reached out to the Department of Justice on numerous occasions, and I've provided my professional recommendations.
Well, that's the question, though. That's the question. The question is, what are you recommending with regard to changing the laws?
So I'm recommending that if explosive precursors are present along with illegal weapons, illegal narcotics, or in the midst of committing a crime, then there should be some law in place that flips a benign, legal, raw material to felony contraband. And in that instance, it could then be leveraged to gain intelligence that could help uncover and take down and disrupt sleeper cell bomb maker networks. I think it's very important for national security, and I've made many recommendations to the Department of Justice to consider a modification to the law that in the event explosive precursors are present, along with illegal weapons, illegal narcotics, or in the midst of committing a crime, they should be able to be charged with those materials as felony contraband.
All right, let's get Greg's opinion as well as yours, Grant, as to how the police responded at the moment it happened. We'll run a little bit of a video here. What do you think, Greg? You've probably seen some of these videos already, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks like the New York PD responded, rather rapidly, and took him into custody immediately before there was any injuries. So, kudos to them. Apparently, a borough chief was one of the two officers that arrested one of them, and which is typically unusual to see someone of high rank go hands on with someone. So I was impressed with that.
What do you think, Grant?
I'm just glad the devices didn't detonate. When you look at the close proximity that law enforcement has to be to suspects in the presence of explosives, it's, we just have to pray that they're safe. Because if that was TATP and that did detonate and it was that amount of TATP, we could have a lot of fatalities and life-changing injuries.
Jeff, I was very disappointed to see a reporter knocking on the door of the suspect's home before the FBI was able to isolate and secure the property. I was taken back by that.
You mean you object to the news reporter doing it, or you're concerned that the FBI was slow to get there?
Yes, they did not have any agility in putting a perimeter on that home before reporters could arrive.
Right.
I don't understand what the lag time is. I mean, they have the information on the identity of the people before the media does, which means they have a head start to get personnel out there to secure the neighborhood. I'm not saying the SWAT team should have gotten there before the reporter, but the reporter should not have been allowed to even approach the house at that point. There should have been an outer perimeter set up with regular street agents and traditional law enforcement to make sure that no one left or entered that house.
Right. Well, you mentioned agility. I would say that one of the perpetrators established the standard for agility. Look at that leap.
Well, and look at the leap of the police officer who ends up arresting him. You'll see him right behind him.
What are you talking about? I don't know. I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, well, right behind him, right there. That is a chief, a borough chief.
Really?
Yes.
That is something to behold.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right.
Very impressive.
I was just joshing. I know all about it. There he is.
Okay.
That's the photo. Not only that, but I have a video that really zooms in on him. Look at that photo. Is that an award-winning photo?
That's a great picture.
That's a winner.
Right. And I also have video of it. Here we go.
Boy, that didn't take but a minute, huh?
There you go. So not bad at all. Now they detonated these. Well, what did they detonate it, Grant? The same device that they found? Is that what I was seeing in the news? You know what I'm talking about?
At the storage unit?
Yeah. What's the purpose of them?
There was reportings that there were additional device found, and then the other devices didn't detonate. So they might have did a controlled detonation to one or multiple. They might have sent one, to a lab to analyze. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they can do. Fortunately, these aren't properly trained terrorists that have been through extensive IED training, or the devices would have went off. We've had multiple instances where devices haven't gone off that have been a blessing. Just look at the New Year's Day where the three IEDs didn't go off last year. That could have had massive amounts of casualties. So when you look at places of large gatherings, whether they be protests or churches or synagogues or mosques or transit stations where there's large public gatherings, this is where there's always a concern of a trained terrorist showing up with suicide vests.
But is the reason to do a controlled detonation because it would be unsafe to not detonate the device?
TATP is a highly volatile explosive. So to neutralize that threat, a commander makes a call and they execute on it. So they neutralized it. If that's what it was, it's been neutralized.
Right. Well, that makes sense. It's just that if it's not necessary, I would also, this is probably just my naivety speaking, but I was thinking, well, you're destroying the evidence in a sense too, but I think what you're saying is it's necessary for safety purposes to destroy the evidence, at least to some extent, right? Don't you kind of destroy it when you detonate it?
Yeah, but Jeff, I think it's because of the instability of the substance that they're erring on the side of caution.
Right.
I'm going to make a guess without seeing any other information that they probably put in a robot, and the robot is videoing everything that it is coming across. So you do have evidence. I mean, it's just not the quality of evidence that maybe you'd like to have, but it's evidence by the fact that you can see containers or packages or however they're storing it, and that is basically you're going to be your evidence, and then the evidence of the fact that they were volatile enough to do a controlled detonation.
Right. Okay. So I don't want to misrepresent what your position is, Grant, but it sounded like you're not all that worried about how this might portend future incidents. We have a lot of people who are opposed to the Iran war. And the New York Post, of course, is known for their sensationalism. But on the other hand, I don't know, it seems to me like maybe we should be worried. What do you think, Greg?
I heard reports they're saying, sleeper cells, may be activated now by ISIS due to the strikes being conducted overseas. I don't know. I mean, I guess they'll figure out if there was any, it was just a triggering event that caused them to take action, or they actually had some sort of a handler overseas or not overseas that reached out to them and said, this is the time to act. I'm guessing, if I had to guess, that they're sort of lone wolves that just saw an opportunity to attend this event and traveled from Pennsylvania to New York just for the purpose of doing this.
Conda Strike likes my use of the word portend. Thank you, sir. Once every month I say something that sounds halfway intelligent. Well, I mean, even if they were lone wolves, there could be other lone wolves.
Yeah. And that's the threat of a lone wolf. I mean, they're an unknown. They're not real. They're under the radar, and they act when they choose to act. So,
right. But Grant, I'm not going to get you word. You're cool as a cucumber.
I'm concerned. The proxy terrorists that were leveraged in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and elsewhere are very much concerning. And when we had an open border for a very long period of time that allowed millions of people to enter the country, it is concerning. And you need to understand that a lot of what we've been up against has been an economic war. So the proxy terrorists were carrying out ultimately orders at prolonged war. As you know, if we look at September 11th, 2001, the U.S. national debt was under $6 trillion. You fast forward today, after 20 plus years of the war on terror, and we're over $38 trillion. So there's more to things than people understand, and proxy terrorists carry out orders. They're being funded. So these are the ones that kind of keep me up at night and keep my brain moving forward. And I've engaged across all the relevant agencies. So I understand where we're coming up short and kind of what we need to do. Unfortunately, we're very reactive. The most important thing to drive home, which is comforting, is there's two primary ways to stop an IED attack. One, take away the materials to make the bombs, and two, take away the networks of the people involved with the bomb making or the carrying out of the attacks. So the more proactive we are and the more people that are captured, arrested, eliminated, that are part of those terrorist networks, not just on U.S. soil, but internationally, it creates more mobility for us to learn, adapt, and win. There's no 100% solution against terrorism, but as long as we keep moving forward and the enemy is on defense, that does make us safer, and it does create a little more comfort, to protect our homeland.
Well, I'm curious, and I bet the audience is too, how you got into this to begin with. Can you tell us a little bit more about your company, American Innovations, and how it is in the first place that you got interested in all these security issues and developed this tremendous track record that you have?
I started American Innovations in March of 1995, manufacturing covert surveillance equipment for law enforcement. And just a month later, we had the biggest IED attack on U.S. soil, the Oklahoma City bombing. And it was eye-opening to me. And I had the foresight of thinking outside the box as if there was no box. And then I got involved with explosive detection and bomb containment and blast mitigation. And in 2001, prior to the 9/11 attacks, I had created the first high throughput security checkpoint in the United States with explosive detection portals, X-ray equipment, and metal detectors. That model was adapted by the nuclear facilities and then the Category X airports. What's important to reference is after the 9/11 attacks, when our troops were deployed and they were out on convoys and they were sustaining high casualties from IEDs, earliest stages of the wars were unexploded ordinances. I got a call because the Army was utilizing the handheld versions of the same underlying technology in the checkpoints that we had deployed. At that point, I knew that we had a problem because that underlying technology was designed and developed for sterile controlled environments to look for anomalies. And the last time I checked, you will not find a sterile controlled environment in any war zone.
Well, you're talking some technical jargon there, so maybe the audience is a little sharper than I am, but I just want to get a little better idea of what you mean. When you say you developed the first security checkpoint not necessarily of any kind of a checkpoint, but that it was sophisticated to a particular degree, like what they use in airports? Is that what you said?
That's exactly what we did. We took A plus B plus C together and made the checkpoint of the future. We have a lot of issues with government agencies, commercial entities, and whatnot not communicating or working together, or all fighting for the same rice bowl. I identified a gap and I wanted to close it to make our country safer. So I took them out of the equation and I put A plus B plus C together to make the checkpoint of the future. That then evolved into what you see today in our airports nationwide and around the world.
So, Grant, I'm guessing that it's some hybrid where you're detecting not only firearms but explosives and basically a metal detector for bladed instruments and firearms. But so you've combined several different entities so that there's complete 360-degree coverage when someone tries to get into an airport.
Well, there's no 360-degree coverage. That would be perfect. All we did was we took an explosive detection portal that was developed at Sandia National Laboratory, that was commercialized by industry, that couldn't sell a single unit in 6 years after they got it out of the lab. And I bundled it with commercial off-the-shelf X-ray equipment, commercial off-the-shelf metal detectors, ultimately putting 3 competitive companies' solutions together to solve a problem and close a gap.
Okay.
What about sporting events and concerts? What is the level of security there as compared to airports? And are they the type of clients that you have to these venues where they have concerts and sporting events?
We have a wide range of clients from events to various venues to government to law enforcement, hospitals, malls, stadiums. So we've had a lot of different clients over the years. Everything that we do is proactive, is a step in a positive direction. To say that we're completely safe would be inaccurate. But as long as we're enjoying our freedoms that people have fought and died for, and we're taking the necessary steps to reduce risk, in my professional opinion, that's moving in the right direction. I truly believe we can do more, and it's important we push out the perimeters, because a lot of times when there is an instance, it's too late. The threat's already there front and center. And when they're determined to execute an attack and they're there, more times than not, we're going to have casualties. We need to push out the perimeters. We need to acquire more leverage. And with those pushed out perimeters and more leverage and trust building between law enforcement and the civilian population, we gather the intelligence to make ourselves safer.
Well, I assume that not every venue in the United States and throughout the world is exactly the same. But in general, do you think that security is sufficient at concerts and sporting events? On one hand, I don't want it to be excessive. If I go somewhere, I don't want to have to go through unnecessary delays and have it be an uncomfortable experience. On the other hand, I want to make sure that it's safe enough, especially since if there's one incident somewhere, then all of a sudden everybody's going to freak out everywhere else. Like if something happened at a hockey game at Madison Square Garden, the next day, every other venue, everybody's going to be freaking out.
Technology that's deployed today is for the most probable threats.
Mm-hmm.
There are extreme threats that we just can't be prepared for everywhere all the time. That gets back to my recommendation on training, and enabling law enforcement first responders to become sensors and giving them extra leverage through various laws. So when there are extreme circumstances that are uncovered, they can be leveraged to hopefully gather intelligence to take down potentially larger, more dispersed sleeper cell networks of trained terrorists, people that understand how to make IEDs, know how to detonate them, and usually when they carry out attacks, there's casualties.
Got it. All right. Well, we have a segment called Has It Happened to Greg? We just show some videos of police encounters and see if anything like that has happened to Greg and talk about it. If you have a little more time, you want to hang out with us and go through that segment?
Sure. Love to hear about Greg's experiences. Bring it on.
All right. Who wouldn't? All right, this is a little bit different. The first video is a little different than what we typically do because this involves the Capitol Police. And this, I have two different videos, but let's show one at a time and then comment it, and then I'll show the second one. This was in the news, a Marine veteran, I think he was a Marine veteran named Brian McGinnis, disrupted a congressional hearing to protest the Iran war. And here's what happened. This video was made by Medea Benjamin's group, Code Pink, and this is Medea narrating it.
We've had a chance to see the video that went viral of the brave Marine Corps veteran Brian McGinnis, who stood up in the Senate Armed Services Committee and said, "We do not want to go to war in Iran for Israel." He was pulled out so violently by the police, the Capitol Police, as well as a senator, Tim Sheehy, rushed from the dais to get into the fray. And in the process, Brian's arm got caught on the door and was broken. Well, he's been in the hospital ever since, just getting his surgery today. Tomorrow he'll be arraigned. He is being charged with assaulting a police officer as well as resisting arrest. In the meantime, there's been a wonderful outpouring of support for him with GoFundMes that have raised money that will help him when he gets out with his medical bills, his legal fees, and he won't be able to work for a while as a firefighter. So I wanted to update you on that, but I also want to say something else. I think this is a moment where we have to look at how the Capitol Police treat people when they get up in these hearings and exercise their First Amendment rights to speak out. And when they speak out, it's just words, and they act as if we're some terrorists rushing in and grabbing us and pulling us out. That shouldn't be the way that we are treated. We should have somebody come up to us and say, "Okay, time for you to leave, please." And that would be the end of it. And instead, you know, it's so many accidents that happen because of this, like what happened to Brian. Brian is a hero and should be treated as a hero when he comes out, but we should also demand that the Capitol Police be retrained to not treat people violently. And Senator Tim Sheehy should face criminal charges.
All right, usually we just show the video and there's no narrator giving their opinion. So that's why how this is a little different. Any comments from either of you gentlemen on what happened, as well as whether or not you agree or disagree with Medea's opinion?
Spoken like a true moron, as far as the narration goes.
Yeah. Well, I actually know Medea, and I like her, and she's a very nice person, very smart, but I think she got almost everything wrong in this particular case.
I would agree with you 100%, Jeff. We don't have a First Amendment right to protest.
Right. That was one thing that was wrong.
Correct. And number two, I was a little confused. Did he put on that uniform because he was a former Marine in his a current firefighter? Is that this?
Yes, correct. Yeah, he just put on his Marine uniform as part of the way he wanted to present himself during this situation.
All right.
Which I'm not even sure that's illegal, but that's a different issue. Legal in terms of military law, that is.
He's impersonating a military officer if he's no longer in active service.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what to call it, but I have a feeling it's not kosher in terms of the military. But that aside, what else did you notice that she got right or wrong in this?
Grant, I don't want to take up all the time. I'll let you speak.
things can go many different directions. And had that escalated, then people would cry foul that why didn't you remove a potential threat from the environment? So you don't know until something happens. And yes, training, de-escalation training has tremendous value, and I support it. I think there should be more de-escalation training, but you can't look at a scenario and then judge and point fingers, because had this gone a different way, people would be crying foul that more wasn't done quicker. That's the feeling.
Well, I mean, I think you're being too kind, actually, because it doesn't even have to be a threat per se. It's just the idea of disrupting the hearing is enough to warrant the ejection. And it's well known. There's signs everywhere there. The people who do this know that they're going to be ejected. And the other thing that was wrong right off the bat with Medea saying, complaining that they should have just given a verbal order before dragging him out, was we didn't even see the beginning of it in the video. So right away, I'm saying to myself, we always see these police videos and people are jumping to conclusions where the context is lacking. So even if they did fail to give him a verbal order, we don't know that from the video. And here she is saying that they need to be retrained. Now, I did find another video that shows what happened. And guess what? They did give him a verbal order.
Oh.
Israel is the reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. They said it.
America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your exemptness as leaders. This is wrong. And nobody wants to fight for Israel.
Reminder to all our
Commandant, please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
You can hear that break.
Yeah, right.
Out. No one wants to fight for Israel.
His hand. Oh, his hand.
So this whole thing happened, it was let's call it an intense struggle. But the reason I think is pretty obvious that it was intense, and that is because he's a big, strong guy who resisted ferociously. So I'm not making any comment at all right now about the Iran war. And I think it's a great tradition in America that people commit civil disobedience. But when they choose to do that, they got to expect the reaction that happened.
You don't have the right to violently resist being removed once you are trespassing.
Yeah. And that's even if you're opposed to the Iran war, which I am. So it's, Now, the other thing that Medea said, which I won't say she was wrong per se, but she failed to explain, is she said that the senator who jumped in to help should face criminal charges. Well, what's the charge for what? I mean, even if she doesn't know the exact statute that supposedly was violated, she should at least say the specific thing the guy did that might be a crime. I'm not particularly in favor of senators jumping in to help when the police are there. But unless the senator caused the broken arm or caused some other injury, I don't see any crime. Do you guys?
You're a big fan of the citizen's arrest. You should be fully supporting the senator.
Yeah. Well, in a sense, I am. I know I said I wasn't thrilled that he jumped in because it wasn't necessary, But I also said I don't see what the crime is.
No, there's no crime there. She's
unless he caused an injury. If he did, then
But the injury he caused was the situation was created by the firefighter trying to violently resist being removed. So you cannot put yourself in a high risk scenario and then complain afterwards that somehow you got hurt.
Yeah, no, that's a factor. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if whatever he did physically, the senator did cause the injury, it could be argued that, well, he's not trained to deal with this and he shouldn't have done it. I think the police would have more of a defense because the guy's resisting, but maybe not the senator. I'm saying if he caused the injury, but I can't tell from that video that he did.
No, I thought Medea was a Tyler Perry character. Am I getting confused with something?
What does that mean?
Medea.
Yeah, no, what's a Tyler Perry character? What does that mean?
That black actor that always dresses up as like a grandmother. I thought that was Medea.
She gets dressed up as a grandmother? Is that what you're saying?
He gets dressed up as a grandmother, and his character is Medea. I thought. I thought he had like.
Well, that's a different thing. It has nothing.
Oh, it is okay because I never heard.
She's the founder. You've heard of Code Pink, right?
I've heard of it. I just didn't realize that she was.
She's the founder of.
Gotcha.
Or co-founder, I guess.
Okay.
All right. So let's take a look at another video. Now this was this one was really long. I think 10 minutes or something like that. It's way too long to show here, but I cut like a minute or two from it. I mean, the total is only a minute or two because it was interesting. I have a couple of questions about what happened at the beginning.
Why are you getting out of the car? Why are you getting out of the car? Step back. Step back. Step back. I did not tell you to get out of the car.
You're gonna tase
Walk to the back of your car.
You're gonna tase me?
Walk to the back of your car.
You're gonna tase me?
Walk to the back of your car.
Shoot me, why don't you?
Walk to the back of your car.
Shoot me.
To the back. To the back of your car.
Scott!
Turn around. That's what you're good for.
I don't feel safe.
Okay.
I'm gonna call 911.
Turn around. Do not reach into your bag. I will tase you if you reach into your bag. Turn around.
Okay, you see this, right?
Turn around.
I will drop my bag for you. Are you a newbie? How long you been on the force, dude? You're
Turn
watching
around.
the whole thing, right? That's my neighbor.
Turn around.
Scott!
Turn around. Place your hands behind your head.
What?
Place your hands behind your head. Place your hands behind your bed. Place your hands.
What?
You're driving off the side of the roadway. You didn't use your turn signal and you're speeding when you passed me.
Right? You're kidding.
I've ordered you multiple times to turn around and place your hands behind your head. Now turn around and put your hands behind your head.
Can I get my boyfriend?
No. Put your hands behind your head. Are you an adult?
I'm 35 years old.
Okay, you're an adult, then you can do this yourself.
My mother is 3.
Look, ma'am, I don't want to hurt you, but if you don't listen to me, I'm going to have to.
You're going to tase me?
I will have to if you don't listen to me. Place your hands behind your head.
I mean, that's her back, but I mean, at least she's
Are you
somewhere
a little
behind her.
pumped up? Why are you squeezing my hand so hard?
Because you keep not listening to me. Stop.
Okay,
Please.
Do you know who,
Stop.
Do you know who it is?
Okay, well, you smell like alcohol, too. Maybe that's why you're swerving all over the road.
Mm-hmm.
All right, actually, I made a mistake there. I didn't use the edited version, so I'll just stop it there. Now, later on, and this went on, like I said, for like 10 minutes. The boyfriend showed up. It was a whole big scene. He accused her of being drunk. And like 2 or 3 times, she says, well, give me a breath test. Give me a breath test. And they never gave her a breath test, which I found odd.
Well, probably at the station, they will do that, Jeff.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I want to know is when she, let me show it again and I'll maybe do it without the volume. So, you know, why are you getting out of the car? I didn't tell you to get out of the car. Is that illegal? I mean, and if so, how is anybody supposed to know that? When you get pulled over by a cop, is there some law that says you have to sit in your car?
I don't believe there is. I mean, I think that's a smart thing to do, but but once he tells you to get back in your car, then I would imagine that's a very smart thing to do.
Smart, but I'm asking about the law because I want to know when it crosses the line to resisting arrest. If he never even says that she's being detained, or, what's the authority,
Well, I think he can bridge that gap by putting her in handcuffs, but not arresting her, which would be really a temporary custody until you have control of the situation for her safety and for his safety. If she is drunk and she walks into the road and gets hit, that's a problem. So he has the authority to take her into temporary custody until he can determine what is going on, short of saying you're under arrest for drunk driving before he even gets close enough to smell her breath.
Yeah, I'm not so much criticizing him as I'm asking, is she guilty of resisting arrest from what we saw, or no?
Not resisting arrest, but she could be guilty of interfering with an officer. And that's a Connecticut charge. I'm sure there's an equivalent charge down in Florida that covers that, where someone is not fighting you, they're not resisting being arrested, but they're also not complying with anything that you are asking them to do, which is reasonable.
Right. So, Grant, when you drive drunk, do you behave like this woman, or you know how to keep it together?
I don't know. I haven't drank much in many years, but nevertheless, you have to comply. You have to listen, and when I get pulled over, I turn the car off. I put my hands out the window and I follow. So it's
it's a safe. I mean, one issue is for safety purposes. I've heard that you're advised one thing that you could say to police, which is a smart thing, is, what do I have to do to keep us both safe, officer? I mean, that's to maybe prevent yourself from being shot or something.
No, I mean, the few times I've been pulled over, I put on my four-way flashers, I turn the car off, I roll down all four windows, and I put my hands on the steering wheel until they're at the side of my car.
Right.
And that seems to work very, very well. Jeff, I do have actually, you're saying, has this happened to Greg? And oddly enough, I actually do have a story that is related to this. So in the era where I was working, and there are no cell phones at that time, I get called to come into the station for a complaint, and the woman is at the front desk, and she is very upset because she claims that a woman was behind her, and this is during the daytime, flashing her high beams on and off and blowing her horn for several miles. While I am listening to this woman, the woman who was accused of doing this comes into the station, and she says, yes, I was doing that. She's all over the road, and it looked like she's terribly drunk. So now, like a ping pong match, I go back to the first woman who came in complaining, and I said, have you been driving? And she's like, yes, but I'm only driving because my husband is so drunk, he can't drive. And I'm like, but you seem to be fairly intoxicated yourself. And she's like, I want to make a complaint and have her arrested for tailgating me and flashing her high beams. And I said, well, that's going to be the least of your worries, because you're going to do a field sobriety test for me. And I did arrest her. And then I went outside, and sure enough, her husband was in the front passenger seat, passed out.
Wow. Yeah, police really should pull people over without tailgating. They should be way behind them and just wave to them.
No, this was the woman. This was the woman who was following her. I mean, it was a civilian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she was complaining about the cop.
No. She was complaining about the woman who was behind her, and that woman came in to confirm that she was all over the road, and she was trying to get the attention of a police officer, hoping that he'd be driving in the proximity of them.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually on my mind. I'm thinking about that. There was one more question from the previous video I need to ask you. The Marine veteran was, among other charges, he was charged with assaulting a police officer. And I would have thought that it has to be intentional. Didn't look to me like he was intentionally assaulting the police officer, but apparently 3 of them in the struggle sustained minor injuries. So is it assault if, on top of resisting, if in the struggle they happen to get hurt? Is that the definition of assaulting a police officer?
I wouldn't say it's the definition. I think it's a factor that is considered by the judge. I mean, when you're resisting at that level of resistance, it's not passive resistance. It is very active resistance. And there's a fine line between active resistance and assault. Passive resistance would be to go limp, to maybe put your hands in front of you and tuck up so that they can't handcuff you. That's passive resistance. But when you're moving back and forth and flailing and grabbing things, and it elevates it to an assault.
All right, I guess so. I learned something. I mean, you agree though, he clearly didn't intentionally strike anybody. He was
correct.
Yeah. He was pretty ferociously resistant.
This is not Gandhi resistance. This is very physical, strenuous resistance. So it does cross over, I think, into that threshold of assault.
Okay, thank you. I should have asked that before. All right, here's another video.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom and look, nigga got 12 in here praying. Bro, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? 12 is in there praying right now, bro. Bro, what are you doing? Go pray in the car or the precinct. This ain't no fucking mosque, nigga. What's up with y'all niggas, bro? Look, in my ear too, nigga. This ain't no fucking mosque, nigga. Yeah. You on this? Yeah, I do. You on this? Yeah, I do. Okay.
All right, I guess Muslim police officers praying on the job. What do you make of that?
I'm at a loss to even comment. I don't know what the NYPD tolerates for practicing religion on duty.
I doubt it's allowed.
I've got nothing on this one. Yeah.
What does this portend for New York?
The word of the day.
Well, this is the first time I've seen both of these videos. So, or all 3 of them. So,
you need a moment to digest. We can pause.
Not at all. I'm just, I'm all about trying to keep people safe, simplify complexity, and keep moving forward.
All right. Well, you want you're against complexity, but here was a very complex. This is our last video. I would say this was a little bit complicated and difficult. I don't know exactly how it started, but this was a situation where a bunch of rowdy women were on the scene. It started to look like when the police were attempting to arrest one of them, and then a bunch of others were jumping in too. And this was a weird one. Take a look. Looks like every one of them deserves to be arrested, and the difficulty is figuring out which one to prioritize and go in what order.
Yeah, I don't know. Do they not carry pepper spray in that department?
I don't know. That looks like Los Angeles to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any tasers on their belt, but I would guess that one of those pieces of equipment on their utility belt should be pepper spray.
So you're not happy with the tactics used here. They didn't. I mean, it's difficult, so I don't want to be too harsh on them. But you're saying they should have used something like that to subdue.
Oh, absolutely. A little pepper spray in everyone's direction will discourage them from getting too involved. Although I'm not sure what the old timer was with the blue shirt doing in the middle of it, but
he was the only one that shouldn't be arrested.
He was the referee.
Yeah. Well, he probably couldn't believe his eyes. He probably was paralyzed with just astonishment. I've never seen anything like this. He's probably thinking, they're just like, what?
Girls going wild.
Wow. Well, do police have pepper as a rule? Do they carry pepper spray only sometimes?
No.
Or is that standard to it?
Yeah.
So we can assume they just failed.
I can't see with the amount of equipment they were carrying on their utility belt that one of those items was not pepper spray.
Right. All right. I don't know if pepper spray was within your bailiwick, Grant, but that's not considered a weapon of terrorism, I guess, right? Is Grant just being still? Oh no, I thought you were
de-escalation training sometimes.
All right. Well, let's just remind folks that Grant's website is AmericanInnovations.com. We were talking about his
Can you hear me again? You keep throwing these videos at me.
I know. You're shocked. You're like the guy in the video. You're just shocked. We were talking about Grant's very impressive resume before, but he actually has one other impressive talent we didn't even mention, and that is as a songwriter. Tell us about the song you wrote, Grant. Grant?
I went down to Nashville. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I went down to Nashville and co-wrote a song when it was my understanding there were going to be attacks on our troops during the withdrawal of Afghanistan, and the urgent need request for various proactive solutions were going unanswered. So I went down to Nashville and I co-wrote a song in hopes of preventing attacks against our troops during the withdrawal of Afghanistan. And the song is called Somewhere in the Sand. So if you want to play it.
Yeah. We'll play it when we close out. But let me just ask you say co-wrote. Does that mean you wrote the lyrics and somebody else wrote the music, or what? Grant, are you there? I think Grant's internet is freezing. Either that or he considers that question way too personal and he refuses to answer. All right. Well, I also wanted to find out.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
All right, your internet is freezing.
Tracking on your question. Right. We have a bad.
Yes, we do.
Connection. Can you repeat?
Yeah. Who did you write the lyrics or the music? All right, we're going to have to leave the audience in suspense.
I co-wrote the lyrics.
The lyrics, okay.
I co-wrote the lyrics with a songwriter, Jim Femino, who had passed away during COVID.
All right, and who's the singer? Who's the artist singing the song?
That was Jim Femino.
That's Jim. All right. Thank you very much. And thanks for watching, everybody. Join us tomorrow night for Ask the Inspector with Scott Ritter at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Thursday, another fine veteran who's a bit of an activist himself, Captain Matt Ho, will be with us at 7 p.m. on The Whiners. That's Thursday night at 7 p.m. We'll leave you with what's the name of the song again? Sands?
Somewhere in the Sand.
Somewhere in the Sands, co-written by our guest tonight, Grant Haber. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Grant.
If you could save my life, would you? If you had the answer in your hands, could you? Find a way to cut through all the bureaucratic tape while we're dying over here instead of living in the USA. I'm a boy, I'm a girl, an American halfway around the world playing peacekeeper in a hostile land. I'm your son, I'm your daughter, I'm your father, I'm your mother. Don't leave me out here dying needlessly. All I'm asking for is a helping hand to save me from the devil that I fight, waiting somewhere in the sand. Suicide attackers give no warning. When they find us, all that's left are families mourning for the lives and limbs our brothers lost without ever questioning the cost. We carry out our orders faithfully. Yeah, but I'm a boy, I'm a girl, I'm an American halfway around the world playing peacekeeper in a hostile land. I'm your son, I'm your daughter, I'm your father, I'm your mother. Don't leave me out here dying needlessly. All I'm asking for is a helping hand to save me from this devil that I fight, waiting somewhere in the sand. Hell no, I ain't afraid to die, but some days I pray and wonder why I might have to needlessly. When I know we've got technology that can stop them making IEDs, so I can get back home and hug my family. Yeah, I'm a boy, I'm a girl, an American halfway around the world playing peacekeeper in a hostile land. I'm your son, I'm your daughter, I'm your father, I'm your mother. Don't leave me out here dying needlessly. All I'm asking for is a helping hand to save me from this devil that I fight, waiting somewhere in the sand. All I'm asking for is a helping hand to save me from the devil that I fight, waiting somewhere in the sand.